Hello everybody, welcome to the video session of database management system, and this session agenda is to learn the databases completely. Okay, so first I just want to tell you what is the basic agenda of the databases and what we are going to cover in this databases. First I will just give you overall idea what is actually the base content of the tutorial is. Okay. So, this database management systems is a concept has been introduced into this world for making the applications to be solved very easily, as well as updations, as well as the deletions. Okay. To make it more simple, this people has introduced the database management system. So, may people have a idea, or else maybe people does not have an idea on DBMS. Okay. So, let me clear out. So, what actually you will learn, I mean at end of this particular sessions what you are in a position to do it. Okay. At end of this sessions you are in a position to complete any of one database completely without having any deviation. Yes, is it clear guys? So, now let me talk about first thing is, you have any idea about the databases or not, does not matter. What you have any idea on the file concept or not, does not matter. Okay. So, it's here it's only matters about to be have a more concentration. Yes. So, as the programming languages how it is important in the market, the same way your database is also more important in terminology of a storage concept. So, what is the first the concept of files, because files is also comes under the database concept and followed by the different databases, and right now in the market there are a huge demanded for big data, Hadoop, Hive and all these things. It all comes under the storage capacity. Yes. For example, what is the base intention of to use a databases? Let me clear it out very simple. For example, I do have I'm running an organization. I want to maintain a few employees information. In that case, if I am using a databases, it obviously will not affect me, because at 20 or 25 employees in my organization, I can handle with a simple as that, I can handle with an Excel sheet or I can go with any other information. But the thing is, for example, I have an organization where every day a lakhs or billions of millions of users has to be visiting my web application. Yes. So, these applications are basically require the huge amount of data. It is pretty simple that just imagine a Facebook website, imagine a Twitter website, imagine a Gmail website, and every user will visit, mostly because right now current world is just simple as that, everything is in our hands, smartphones. Yes or no? Means what, every individual have a user have a minimum one account. Yes or no? Now, as if I say this, every user, a Facebook application which have a huge amount of data is generating by every day. So, if you want to maintain the information such a way are huge, I mean lots of memory, or like I can call it as terabytes of memory or petabytes of memory if I want to maintain them. So, I do require the files is also, files is a concept is not at all sufficient, whereas it is also not secure also. To make it as more simple, we just have a concept called as a databases. What is this databases do is? Databases are the concept which makes you to maintaining a large amount of data into a single place, so that a number of users can be interacted with us. Yes, that is what the concept of bases, databases. Okay. So, maybe if you people have a have an idea that where I supposed to, for example, I know the programming of Java, or else I know the programming of .NET, and also I know the programming of databases also. Where is the implementations for this? I will just show you simple example for this. Any application which is running on your browser, we usually call it as front end applications. Means what? Where every user can interact it. As I am a user, I can interact with my Facebook application. Yes or no? as the same thing, this application will be interacted on the background, I mean to say on the behalf of backend. So, the backend information will be stores your information. Yes, that information we usually call it as databases. Yes. Now, if you just look at here, you will understand what actually the databases do in this. Okay. So, now I'll just show you a clear information. Now, today I'm just going to discuss about the base concept why the databases are in this market. Yes. Now, after that, from tomorrow we will get into a base concept, how to read and how to get the data from the databases and all these things. Okay. Yeah. Now, let me consider the few things here, right. So, here this one we usually call it as front end, application. This is basically you can call it as back end applications. Yes. So, what is the example for the front end application? Any Java application is your front end application. Any .NET application is your front end application. Any PHP application is a front end application, right. So, why I am telling you all these things, and the people doesn't know what exactly the importance of these databases. Yes. Now, if I have an application here, this application will runs on the front end in the sense where every end user will be get interacted with these websites, right. But as soon as if I am doing a login of this website, what will happen is this application will send the request to the backend softwares, right. What is this backend softwares? Or the backend softwares mostly are databases, DBs, right. What is this databases do? What is the examples of databases? We have an example for database, call it as Oracle. Oracle is the best example for the databases, and Microsoft SQL Server. This all comes under examples of your databases, right. What they do, let me understand it very carefully, right. As soon as your application is sending the data from your front end, your backend software will store them in one particular format. Yes, you are going to store this data in this particular format, and the data once whenever they are required, whenever any developer wants to see the data will use. For example, if I'm a Java developer, I know very well in Java, I'm a very good expertise in writing of a Java code, so that I have to interact mostly about the databases, call it as Oracle databases, because Java people will use the backend as the Oracle softwares. If I am a very good programmer in the Microsoft application development, I mean to say that I are very good in .NET application development. When a particular user is .NET developer, will be interacted with your databases with the help of Microsoft SQL Server, because it is a software which in generally used by .NET developers. Okay. Now, if I am a PHP developer, I'll do interact this application. I do interact with this application because we have a number of softwares like MySQL is also one of the database product. So, as I'm a PHP developer, I can use as MySQL. Here your MySQL also open source software. Alright. So, all this comes under simple terminology. All these backend softwares we usually call it as a databases, DB. Yes. Now, what is our session agenda is? Our session agenda is to learn the databases very clearly. Mean to say that once you learn this, right, you may learn with the software of Oracle, doesn't matter. You may learn with the software of Microsoft SQL Server, MS SQL Server, or else you may learn the software of, you can also say that MySQL, right. See that guys, when you learn any of this software from these three, mostly the language which is presented in these three softwares almost same. You can say 90% of chances whatever you write in Oracle, you will be same in Microsoft SQL Server. Same thing you can write it in MySQL. Both are 90% of change, 90% of things will be same, but there are a 10% of things will be get changes, because there are small syntactical changes. Means what? Wherever the changes is happened, I let you know whenever because I mean, whenever the changes comes to one software to another software, I'll let you know this 10% of chances, but the remaining 90% of what you learn in any of these softwares will be similar to all these three. Yes, you can learn Oracle, you can learn with Microsoft SQL Server, you can learn with MySQL. Any of these three will be same, right? So, after end of this session, where you supposed to do is, okay, where you are, for example, as a student, you are expertised in DB developer, so that in the market you have a particular job is waiting for you. The job position is a database developers. What is this database developers do? It is pretty simple. This database developers or the people will always used to work with the databases, means what? A large amount of data they will basically consider. For example, I have a data, large amount of data will has to be. Yes or no? So, that is what the agenda, what I want to set it by the start of this session is. Yes, are you guys so clear what you supposed to do at end of this? And I recommend you to, as a student, you recommend you to install any of this software, like you may use Oracle, you may use SQL Server, you may use MySQL, whatever you feel better, you can use this. Whatever the software you feel better, you can use this. Okay, I'll also use some of the software in my sessions. Am I very clear, guys? Right. So, before I'm talking about the databases concept, I'm always in this particular last 10 minutes, I'm talking about the data, I'm talking about the terminology, call it as information. You have any idea on this? No, even though if you doesn't have an idea, don't worry. Now let me clear it. What is the data it means? What is the information means and everything? Yes. Now look at, see here, the session is all about to learn about database management system. You have any idea? Don't worry if you doesn't have an idea also. See that I'm here to help you guys in all the aspects of the development of database management system. And this database, before I'm going to start with the databases, I'm going to start with a simple terminology as I'm talking about since from last few minutes. I'm talking about the data and the information. What is data and what is information, everything I'm just discussing in a few minutes time. First, let me, looks these two words are similar, data and information, as it both are synonyms mostly. Means what? The data, sometimes we can call it as information, but there is a lot of difference between the terminology of data and information in the databases. What is the differences? First, what is the data is? What is data? And how this data can be processed. Alright. So, anything is a data in the world, yes or no? Anything. For example, my name is a data, your name is data, or else means what? I'm going to office today, right? You're going to college today, or you're going to movie today, or you're going to movie with your girlfriends or your boyfriends, alright. So, this is all comes under the data. I mean to say, we are giving a simple as that, the data terminology means itself will tell you the facts about yours, a fact about the users. Yes. Now, what is this data is? Simple as that. Any idea you guys? No. If you doesn't have an idea, pretty simple, I'll let you know what is this is. Data is derived from datum, D-A-T-U-M. It means to say that it's a fact of a particular user. For example, so for example, let me take a simple example as, right, so I'm attending a wedding, yes. I'm attending a wedding. So, whenever I'm attending a wedding, what I do basically, I'll take snapshots with the two people, right, new couple. So, what it means to say that I want to save this fact to the next generation. So, sometime, for example, my next generation, after a decade of time, I want to see that information, or I want to see the data. So, nothing but that is a fact which has happened before a decade, I mean to say decade time. Now, you want to see after 1 decade, because it's almost 10 years or 15 years time, if you want to see that the fact which is already done. Okay. So, that fact can be, call it as a data. Please remember, the data is derived from the word called datum, D-A-T-U-M, right. It means to say that it's facts. Please note it down, guys, right. So, once it is done, what is the statistics? What is actually the data is? How the data does contains? The data, whatever you can see, as my mobile number is data, your mobile number is data. See that fact, the statistics used to reference for analysis means what? Whenever you want to analyze a particular data, or whenever you want to use for any reference kind of thing, will use the terminology, call it as fact. The facts can be in terminology about numbers, the characters, symbols, images, videos, etc., etc., etc. Yes, all this comes under the facts. Just now I told you the simple example. As I am attending for a wedding, imagine that 1 decade back. So, I want to see that wedding pictures right now. What actually I do, whatever the fact which is happened in 1 decade back, I will store in the format of images, or else I will store in format of video files. Now, what you will do is, which can be processed by your computer. Computer has to be processed, nothing but when I will store in my computer, I can able to see this. Okay. The data must be interrupted by a human or a machine. So, to derive the meaningful data, and so data is simple as that, meaningless, right. So, what I mean to say that the information, I mean the data which you can store the last few decades back, you can able to see right now, just because the fact which has stored in that day will be right now founded in images format. It is pretty simple, I can tell you. For example, you are celebrating your birthday, right, last year. The moment when you celebrate your birthday, you will have your snapshots with you, you have images, you have videos, and what you guys will do basically is, you are uploading these images to a Facebook server, or else you are uploading this image to a, for example, you are uploading these images to a Twitter server, right. So, whenever you want to see that, you just go back to the it is not possible to go back to the previous ego, because its time being, the time will be get done, right. So, when I want to go back here, I do not have any scope today, because I can't stop the time, right. I can't stop the day, I can't stop the time, I can't do anything, simple as that. Will you stop the time right now? No, it is doesn't, because it is not in your hand. So, but I can see what is the fact is happened in my last birthday, I can see it on my Facebook, yes or no. I can also see what happened in the last day, last year, last time, what happened I can able to see on my Facebook server, yes or no. This all facts, wherever you can store it, that comes under the name, call it as a data. Yes, please note it down, guys, the terminology facts, right, the statistics to use for the next further reference, and the data can be available in terms also of numbers, characters and symbols and images, etc. And that can be processed by your computer. The input to give a computer, that data must be interrupted by a human being, for example, because that is what human being has introduced a computer, simple as that. For example, why I have introduced my computer? It's pretty simple answer. Introducing a computer is nothing but make my works more easily, because as a human being, I am a human being, I do have a chances do some mistakes in my career, right. But if I store them, for example, I am doing some mathematical calculation, because when I am doing a large number has to be multiplied with another large number. Imagine that 10-digit mobile number, again 10-digit mobile number. You want to multiply the 2 mobile numbers at a time, right. So, as for you, there is a chance that you can do mistakes as a human being. That is a simple nature of any human being. You can you have a chances to do mistakes. But as if I do the process, as I interrupted with a computer, there is no chances for me to have any mistakes, because it is a machine. It is a machine. Machine do whatever you suggest to it, and the machine can process your information, or machines can do the chances, the basis of how the programmer has been written that software is. Yes or no? Means what? I am writing a software, nothing but I try to write a program. I am trying to writing a software, because you can just see that the program, as a programmer, what I will do is I will write a program and I will try to analyze it, and I will put it as a I mean to say software. So what the software will do? The software will run what accordingly what I was set. For example, I want to set the software to be run in this particular format. Your application is also run in the same format. Same way, as your application is running with a so and so amount of time, your application is trying to run with a particular level of application, that everything has to be set by a programmer. Yes, this programmer have a chances do the mistakes, making this world is more comfortable, to make this world to be work with a very simple things. Then the softwares are introduced in the market now. Now it is huge in the market now. You can see all the different softwares which is using a market. So see that, that's the reason the data has to be interrupted by the human being, like a programmer, to the machine, to that to have a meaningful, so that your data is meaningless. Your data is meaningless, but the information whatever it is processed, that will be comes under the next version. Yeah, hope you guys clear. Now let me go to the next one, what actually the information is. Yes, data is a set of qualitative and quantitative values, right. What is the qualitative and quantitative? See that, best example you can see that. So location of coordination of cities across the globe. I mean to say, I hope you guys are using, if it is I am not wrong, you are using a Google Maps in your locations, right. Yes or no? So you want to travel from one place to another place. For example, I want to travel from Hyderabad to Bangalore, even though I does not have any idea how the way should be. For example, even though I don't have any scope, I don't have any chances, I'm nil. I only knows how to drive the car, but I don't know what exactly how to go from Hyderabad to Bangalore. Right now, the world makes you very simple. Google has makes this world very simple. They have introduced a maps concept. In this maps, what I simply do is I'll just set my source location and the destination location. Once I set this both, automatically it will ask, it automatically reaches to the Bangalore, even you doesn't know that. That is what is simple example for you, the data. The location of coordinates of the cities across the globe, it is something called it as a data. And the data examples are pretty simple examples. You can just see that it is can be in character format, right. As I told you, the data is also in sometime a number format, sometimes in string format, sometimes it can be a digit format, more than a single digit also. Yes. None of this data has set as a meaningful until or unless if you text it, it processes the data into usable form. This is where very important point you need to remember. Yes or no? You can have this data, right now you have a data with you, yes or no? You have a data with you, but if you are not able to do anything with this data, is it anything useful? Right. For example, pretty simple. I know everything in databases database management system, but when it comes to an examination, I have not written anything in this. Yes or no? Because I have a data with me, but I can't able to process when the time comes. Then when the time comes, your data is not processed from you to another person, then what will happen is the data whatever you have with you, it's simple as that, meaningless. It can be a meaningful data when it get processed, so that it can be see that none of this data has a sets have any meaning until they can given to a context or else processed into usable format. Very important terminology, very important word. Yes, that is simple thing. And you can check your real time example itself. Your real time itself is your examination and your subject is. On the particular day, on the examination, if you are not performing well, it is pretty simple thing, or pretty simple I can say that the data whatever you have with you, it is simple as that, it is a wastage format, and that has to be processed. Then you have a very good chances to be a topper of your class. Yes or no? Now let me tell you how do this data be processed. your data can be in any format. See that the data can be in data combination of numbers and letter, alphanumeric data, text data in terms of sentences, paragraphs which is written in communications, image or graphicals, graphical in the sense the pictures, the videos, that whatever it is, okay, and audios, I mean to say human voice, or else it is pretty simple, you can see different voices, right. This data can be found, or the data can be on any of these particular things, okay. The first one is it can be in alphanumeric. Alphanumeric in the sense combination of numbers and letters. Second one is text. The text data can be of sentences as well as paragraphs. And the third one is the terminology called as image data. It can be a graphics or else shapes or else figures, etc. Right. Audios, sometimes it can be a video also. Yes, this all are the data which can be in a different formats, right. Next thing is how this data can be converted into information. Right now, I have been talking about last from 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I am been talking about only data. What is this data? How this data can be, terminology becomes information, that is what we need to, yes or no. So, just now we have concluded that even though you have a data with you, if you are not able to process this particularly on the particular day, on the particular time, on a particular moment, if you are not processing your data properly, then the data whatever with you is a meaningless data, unusable data. But what is the users are expected? The users is expecting to make sure that it has to be converted into information. Yes? Yes or no? So, that is if it is converted into information, so that the information shows itself that you have a problem or you have a problematic things. Any idea about information? Yes. Let me clear what is this information is. Information in which the data has been processed in a particular context to give a meaning to it, right. The information is that has been processed, information is interrupted data, and information is meaningful, pretty simple, right. Now, let me talk about it, very interesting things on the information now. Yes, now I have read this particular database management system perfectly and I am going to attend the exam now. Whenever I am attending this exam, I do have all these things, and whatever I was read in my past days in my databases, I was perfectly executed on the day of my exam. Then what will happen is the result of this data can be in form of, I was processed my data which is stored in my mind. Now, I was processed it, then it will be stored in format of information. What is the information you will get end of this? And so person has been the topper of this particular class, that is something called it as the information. Yeah. So, that is the reason you can just see that the data has been processed within a context to give a meaning, and the information is the data that has been processed, means what, after processing we usually call it as information. Information is interrupted data and the information have a specific meaning to it. Yes or no? We have a specific meaning to information, right. When we interrupt the data in a specific context, mean to something like you can just see the paper here. So, you have some paper which can have this particular process of doing things improperly, yes or no. This everything is terminology, call it as information as your, okay. For example, some incident is happened in so and so location, what we basically call it as, we usually call it as some data has been occurred. So, how does you know that if the data has been come in your news channels or else on your paper or else on some other place, if it is able to show on this particular thing, then we can say that it is an information, we got the information from so and so location has happened with a so and so incident. Yes or no? For example, on a highway, okay, on a highway we got some two cars met with an accident, right. How does it you know? Nothing but the next day you will be able to see that on your paper, Nothing but on the so and so place, on the so and so place, on the particular point incidents is happened, nothing but information you got it. Yes or no? So, that is what here I just want to show you with this particular image format. See that when we interrupt the data in a specific context, the data will be looks like this. Yes, am I very clear, guys? Because as I want to talk about this, because I need to start with the databases, before I need to start with this, I am just talking about this. Once it is done, understanding of databases, it's pretty simple. Yes, right. Data need to be turned into meaningful information and presented in most useful format. That is what I just now talk about from the last few minutes. For example, what does the number mean, right? Is it have any number, right? A birthday 29 July 1996, a bank account number, a club membership number, a telephone number. Without processing or more information, the data is meaningless. Simple as that. Without processing about this data, it's simple as that, it is a meaningless data. Once if I process this data, it can be turned it into an information. I was been into talking about the data which I want to set the location coordinate between Hyderabad and Bangalore. Now, if I am start making a drive option, the road distance, right. So, I will set the source place, I will set the destination place, both places in my Google Maps. Once I set source, once I set destination, after this the next I will click it on start write. When I say start write, it shows my statistics on the bottom of this. Statistics in the sense how much time it does takes to travel so and so kilometers. Imagine that from Hyderabad to Bangalore, it's almost 800 kilometers. Imagine it. So, if you want to travel this 800 kilometers, how much time it does required? It just shows you all the statistics on the bottom of the destination place. If that information has been got stored, I mean if that information has been shown, then we usually call it as the information part. The data which we have set, for that we have a meaningful application data. So, that is what here, like, and just see that you have a raw data, whenever the context comes, we need to process this. Okay. Test scores achieved by the students, for example, see that 51, 77, 58, 62, 64 and 70, this is the raw information. Means what? The information is not in a proper way, the information is not shown in a proper way here, it is a raw information, right. So, the context in the sense the test scores which is achieved by the user, whenever if I say context is test achieved by, and what is the information you will get here, the user which can have a test information as average scores calculated by 67% shows the student scored in so and so assessment. Yes or no? For example, well, take a simple example. I have a student 1, right. This student 1 got this separate different marks in the 6 subjects. Yes or no? So, this is the raw information which I have right now. Okay, right. So, when the context comes, this test scores achieved by the student, this is what context, right. And what is the information here? What is the information I want to show? After entering the 6 subject marks of a particular user, I need to show them that the user has either maybe failed or else it can be passed in 3rd division and it may be passed in 2nd division or he may passed in distinction. I want to show this information at the end of after entering 6 subject marks into my application. Then what is the information I want to show? Average test score is so and so, nothing but this is score, you got it. If you got this score, in the sense you are in fail or else you are in 3rd class, you are in 2nd class or you are in distinction. Just I want to show that information. This is what the pretty simple example to understand how your data has been converted into the terminology of information. Am I very clear, guys? Yeah. So, probably we will go to the next example, so that making us little more clear on the data and example. Let me talk about the second one. The color red, the data, it has no meaning, right. Without the information we attach the red color, is information. See that what information we attach to the red color is something called it as information. For example, I'm showing a simple example here. On the traffic, it means to say that stop. For example, if you're going to travel from one place to another place, in middle you have a signals, right? So I know the color red because it's a data, but I don't have anything to set over there. When I set this data, when I set this color to a particular data, I mean to say without particular data, I mean to say I'm not attaching to anything. If I'm attaching to it, then it's supposed to be a meaningful data. So where is that meaningful data? On the traffic signal, if you find a red color symbol over there, nothing but it has to be stop, nothing but information which is displaying to a particular end users over there. Yes or no? That is pretty simple. If you see if you are very good cricket lover, right? So if someone hit a 4 or a 6, umpire used to have a different signals, right? So means what is have a data in him, but whenever a particular when a batsman hits a 4, he'll have some signal. So that he is saying that information to another person. For example, a batsman hits a 6, then what will happen is shows some other signal. Alright, or else a batsman is got out, he have some other signal. Yes or no? Means what? The data which has been in a meaningful way, we attach this data to one particular meaning person, then we usually call it as that information. Yes, hope you understand with an example of this one. Alright, so right. So in a football match, a red color means that player has to be suspended, simple as that. In certain places, red color may have a danger zone also. Okay. So for example, while you're driving, sometimes there are different signals you will find, right? So you take a left signal, take a right signal, take a U-turn, yeah, go forward, go left, go down, go right, all these things, right? So what it means to say that whatever the data has been there, that can be presented with a meaningful information, so that every end user can understand it. Yes. What is this? Why I'm discussing this data and information is, right? Let me talk about that when it comes to the database management system about this. By the time, please remember guys, what is this data and what is the information? These two terminologies look similar, as it is a meaning also same mostly, right? But there is a lot of difference between the terminology of data and information. Let me talk about it when it comes to my sessions here. Let me clearly have an idea on this. Okay, data is meaningless. It is in a raw end data. See that input data, the data which is put using input devices like keyboard, it is raw information, right? Your data has been get processed by some like arithmetic operations or comparing the strings and sorting, searching. Nothing but we are trying to process this data. What is the output of this processing? The processing will be it can be information is meaningful data, right? So information is produced on the output devices, something like monitors. Yes or no? Okay, I'll tell you one best example in your computer's terminology, right? For example, I guess you guys are a bit okay with the programming, maybe C, maybe C++, Java or .NET, whatever it is. Yes, people usually write a program to search some number from a given number. Yes or no? Means to say that a given numbers in the sense 10 or 15, 20 numbers will give. Yes or no? This 20 numbers is a raw data in the sense the data which is have no meaning. It is a meaningless data, right? What as a programmer, what I'll do is I'll write a particular logic to search some data, some information from that particular data. Yes or no? I'll need to search something from my particular data. So when I search the data from it, it could be in a proper way, so that what is output I can able to see. The output is something like if a number which I am giving, my mobile number I am entering it, if it is able to there, so that it shows that your number is already exist. If your number is not presented, it just shows that number is not presented. Yes or no? That is the main reason between the application data as well as the information. Now, let me see this again, so that you can have this one, right. Data is not in a proper way, so that it is something called it as meaningless. So, we need to process the data in terminology of anything. You may search it, you may sort it, you may do some arithmetic operations, you may do logical operation, whatever you want to do, you can do on this. And at end of this process, it can be gives you a meaningful valuing or meaningful this. Okay. So, you may see your mobile numbers which is not presented, it shows that your mobile number is not registered, nothing but how does it knows that the data which you are giving, it is processing it. Once it is given the data which is processed is correct, then it shows that your mobile number is not presented. Yes or no? If it is already presented, it shows that present. Nothing but there are two persons will be involved in this thing. One is the programmer, one is the database developer. Programmer will basically process your logically, your data will be processed, and he process the data to a large amount of data that we usually call it as databases. From that I am going to search it. If it is presented one particular custom message, if not, I will give a custom another message. Nothing but your databases is purely depends on the raw information which is given by the particular users. Yes. So, hope you guys understand with the different examples the differences between your data as well as the information. Yes. Now, let me clear it again. Travels a trip, yeah, travels a trip between your experience travels about the different parts. That is simple as just now I talk about the previous example. Yes, actually what I just want to talk about is the major concern is to make you understand the DBMS. I was came across with a long backstory. The long backstory is to say that what is the data and how the data can be processed. Once the data can be processed, what it call it as? That entirely the information, the raw data, everything will be stored in terminology of databases. Let me clear it again. What is the DBMS first of all? DBMS stands for Database Management System. It's a system software for creating and managing large applications data. Large application mean to say huge amount of data, you can call it as your Facebook application, your Twitter application or Gmail application or any application whatever you can see. If you think that the data is huge, then shift thing is we need to use some software, system software, call it as a DBMS. What is this DBMS do? DBMS provides users and programmers with a schematic way to create, retrieve, update and manage the data, right. So, let me one by one, what is this, what is it provides to? Okay. So, it means to provide the users, I mean to say as I am a end user, because I do not know anything about Facebook website, but still I am using Facebook, because I do not know how to write my name also, but still people are using a Facebook. How? It just everything is on your fingertips, right. Your mobile is giving you some information, based on that information we are processing it, yes or no. Means what? The information is providing the person who does not know how to write his name, and it also giving information who is creating that software, that I can call it as a programmer. There are the two persons here. One person is me who does not know how to write my name, and another person is also me who does not know, I know how to create this software. These two guys are make sure always interacted with some information. Yes, right. So, this is how we just talk about. So, that is the reason DBMS provides users and programmers to schematic way to create, retrieve and update and manage the data which stores over there. Okay. So, this is that's it for today's session. Thank you so much for listening to me and have a great day, right. Come up with the tomorrow with how these databases are constructed and how the databases will work, right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. And when it comes to tomorrow's class, we majorly concentrate on how this DBMS software does create.